How much did you get from the inheritance? Huh. That's what my husband Simon asked me the night of my father's funeral. I heard your father left $3 million. So I'll ask again. How much did you get? I felt uneasy right away. I was still grieving, and Simon's question made me anxious. So I lied. I got nothing. There's no inheritance for me. It looks like only my sister and mother got something, I added. Simon smiled broadly at that. I knew it. Your parents thought you were incompetent and didn't care about you at all. I'm glad I was right. What? I want a divorce. I can't handle being with someone who's poor now. I've already chosen who I'm going to marry next, so I want you to leave my life. With those words, Simon made me sign the divorce papers. He and his family laughed at me, thinking I was miserable. But they couldn't have been more wrong. No one will ever understand how relieved I felt when Simon betrayed me. My name is Jane. I come from a family of 4, including my younger sister Kim. Kim and I never got along well, not since we were kids. My mom, Anne, always took Kim's side and defended her every chance she got. It made me feel really lonely, but I eventually got used to it. My dad, Dan, who was the only one who supported me and could help, was always busy with work and rarely home. Growing up, despite being at home a lot, I felt deeply lonely. Even as an adult, life at home never changed. I couldn't go to college because we couldn't afford it. But once I started working, I found out Kim was going to a private college. Kim is so bright, it would be a waste not to send her, they said. Jane, you're not as sharp or smart as Kim. It would be a waste for you to go to college. Since you're an adult with a job now, you should contribute to the household. And you should also pay for Kim's tuition. You're her older sister. It's only natural for you to work and support her, my mom said. Acting like this was perfectly normal. I had always endured unfair treatment, but this time, it made me furious, and tears started streaming down my face. Seeing me cry, Kim looked at me disdainfully and said, "It's your own fault for being incompetent, isn't it? You're less attractive than me and you get worse grades. You should at least try harder. If you can't even manage that, then you're truly worthless." I couldn't stand the toxic atmosphere anymore, so I moved out of my parents' house when I started working. Having to do chores every day was tough, but living alone wasn't hard at all. In fact, it felt great to be independent. At first, my dad sent me a bit of money to help out, but after about 6 months, it stopped. Instead, I got a letter from my mom. "Dad's been sending you money without permission. You don't deserve it since you never paid for your sister's school or sent us any money. I'll send you an invoice for what you owe us soon. You need to pay back every cent. Stop stealing." My mom, still hating me, sent an invoice for exactly what my dad sent, calling it repayment. I was too uncomfortable to argue, so I paid up, moved to a new place in secret. A few years later, I married Simon, a coworker, and cut ties with my parents for good. So I went back to my parents' house to tell them about my marriage. When I returned, I was shocked to see my father. He had always worked hard, but now he looked much older. His back was bent, and he seemed to struggle just to stand. "Oh, so you're back." I asked my mother about my father. "What's wrong with him?" She sneered at me. "Your father injured his back last year and can't work anymore. He's always at home now, getting in my way. He's so lazy, he can barely move. He's as useless as you, Jane." Simon was taken aback by my mother's words, but his eyes brightened when he saw my sister Kim. "Wow, you're Jane's sister? You're really beautiful. It's hard to believe you two are related." Since starting college, Kim had become even more self-centered. She dressed in expensive clothes and dyed her hair in flashy colors that were quite embarrassing. Despite being an adult, she still acted like a student, which reflected her attitude towards studying. "This guy's your husband, Jane. He's pretty cool and handsome." "He doesn't seem like your type at all, Jane." "Honestly, I feel sorry for you, Simon," my sister said sweetly to Simon, touching him in a way that was hard to miss. It hurt to see that, but what hurt more was seeing Simon so happy and excited about her attention. "Anyway, I don't plan on staying here long. I'm going to marry Simon. I'm cutting ties with all of you." "Well, if you're going to cut me off, can you at least wait until I'm done taking care of your father?" my mom said wearily between bites of her snacks. "I need to take care of him, but I really don't want to. Kim shouldn't have to go through this either. It's her college life, and it'd be a shame to make her waste time on such a trivial, annoying matter, right?" So Jane, it's your responsibility to take care of your father. You're both incompetent, so you'll get along just fine. My mom's words infuriated me, but I couldn't ignore my father's needs. From then on, I had to visit my parents' house often to look after him. Once I started helping out, I noticed neither my mom nor Kim had jobs. Kim didn't work part-time, and Mom stayed home since Dad got sick. Yet, they ate out and shopped a lot. I was shocked when I found out they'd taken Dad's bank book without permission and spent his savings like it was normal. Dad knew but didn't say anything. Dad, they'll keep doing this if we don't stop them. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Even if I told you, Jane, they wouldn't think they did anything wrong or apologize. I didn't want to burden you any further. You've been through enough. My dad always worked hard for our family and loved me dearly. I wanted to help him however I could. Just as I was thinking of how to help, I got a call from the hospital where Dad was taken after collapsing. I rushed to my parents' house before heading to the hospital. Mom and Kim were casually watching TV, unconcerned. The hospital called about Dad collapsing. Why are you both just sitting here? It's an exaggeration to say he collapsed. He fell in the hallway and hit his head. The ambulance took him to the hospital, so it's up to you now. We need to go to the hospital. I'm worried about Dad. Shut up. If he doesn't make it, the insurance will cover it. Why are you getting so emotional? My mother dismissed me and turned back to the TV. Disgusted, I left them both and hurried to the hospital. At the hospital, my father lay in bed, connected to tubes, barely conscious. As he drifted in and out of awareness, he managed to speak softly. I'm sorry for this sudden turn. I feel like I'm being punished. I failed as a father because I couldn't protect you from our family. Those were his last words before he closed his eyes. Dad, none of that matters. I love you. Please get better, I pleaded, holding his hand tightly. But he didn't respond. A week later, a lawyer called me about my father's will. He'd informed me that it included details about his inheritance. According to the will, I, Jane, was to inherit $3 million. $3 million. I couldn't believe it. Apparently, my father had another bank book hidden away, separate from the one my mother had taken, with $3 million in it. He left a note saying he wouldn't tell anyone else about it, his way of looking out for me even after he was gone. His kindness touched me deeply once more. I had to return to my parents' house to retrieve the hidden bank book. My mother and sister were waiting at the door, acting like they owned the place. What are you doing here now? Trying to scavenge things because Dan died? How despicable. Everything in this house belongs to me and my mother. The house, the car, everything. Don't come here acting like a thief. I knew I couldn't discuss my inheritance with people who wouldn't listen to me anyway. Wait a minute. I'm just here to collect father's keepsakes, and shouldn't I inherit something as well? My mother then produced a document and showed it to me. It was another will stating that my mother and sister would inherit everything from my father's estate. The handwriting looked suspiciously like my sister's, not my father's unique style. I couldn't read the will very well since Kim's handwriting isn't very clear. Are you suggesting this is Dad's will? It doesn't matter what you think. This is the will. I've already informed all our relatives and neighbors about it. You can't dispute it now. Refusing to let me inside, knowing I recognized the will as a forgery, my mother blocked me from entering the house. Defeated, I returned home that day, where Simon was waiting for me. Were you at your parents' house? If you had told me, I would have come with you. I wanted to meet Kim. Why are you so interested, Simon? This doesn't concern you. I went there to receive my inheritance from Dad, but they kicked me out. Wow, how much did everyone inherit from your father? I'm not sure of the total, but he owned the house, land, and everything, so it's quite substantial. I see. How much do you get, Jane? I stopped myself. I couldn't tell him the truth. My gut feeling said there was no inheritance for me. It was all going to my mother and sister. Hearing this, Simon grabbed divorce papers from his room and handed them to me. I knew it. I knew you wouldn't get anything. You're really tied to that family. Well, with a perfect sister like that, I guess it's no surprise, right? But to inherit nothing, how much do they despise you? I want a divorce now because there's no benefit for me if we stay together. Honestly, I've been in contact with your sister Kim a lot lately, and you're just in my way. Simon had already signed his part of the divorce papers, so naturally, I signed them too. I fought hard to hide my smile as I watched Simon happily carry the divorce papers to the city office. It felt like the last time I'd see him smile like that, and that goes for my mother and sister too. It was the moment when karma caught up with those who had tormented my father and me all those years. Later that day, I met with the lawyer who handled my father's will and asked him to accompany me to my parents' house. There, when I showed my mother and sister the real will, their usual calm expressions turned pale as they read it over and over again. That's a lie. I have a will here that clearly states only Kim and I are supposed to inherit. Then let's settle this with a handwriting analysis. If it's proven the fake will was intentionally made, you could face charges of fraud. Are you okay with that? The lawyer's challenge left my mother speechless. I've also heard from Dan about many things. He said even as his health declined, you neglected him, sold his belongings without permission, and did as you pleased. Kim, you were involved in risky behavior with men and gambling, paying off debts with his personal bank book without permission. Due to this misconduct, both of you have been disinherited. If you interfere with Jane's inheritance rights, we'll pursue legal action against you as well. As the lawyer finished, both my mother and sister sat there in disbelief. I decided to retrieve my father's hidden bank book and leave their house for good. Finally, I was completely free from my family. After that, Simon, unaware of the truth, apparently confessed to my sister and started dating her. My mother and sister, keeping the inheritance issues hidden, quickly married him to support their lifestyle and used him like an ATM. Simon, oblivious to their schemes, bought several luxury cars and quit his job, relying on what he thought was their inheritance. Eventually, Simon began to suspect something was wrong. When he realized there was no inheritance, he urgently contacted me. Jane, I was mistaken. You're all I have. I want to start over. Well, I don't need you. Besides, you have Kim now. Take care of your wife properly, okay? I said calmly and hung up. In fact, just minutes before Simon called, I received a call from Kim as well. You've destroyed my life. Simon quit his job and went on a spending spree as soon as we got married. I can't believe I married a man who only cares about money. He's ruined our family name. What are you going to do about it? I responded calmly to my sister, who was shouting hysterically. Kim, you're just as money-minded as him. You two are a perfect match, really. And I heard you and Simon got along very well while he and I were married. You should be happy your love worked out. I'll file for compensation for the affair later, though. From now on, let's communicate through our lawyers. I never want to hear from you again. But I'm your sister. You're not treating me like family. Don't make me laugh. You were the one who didn't treat me like family. With those words, I ended the call with my sister, blocked her number, and never heard from her again. I finally felt free. With my father's inheritance, I built a house and moved in. I found a new job as an office clerk and now enjoy a busy but satisfying life on my own. Sometimes I feel lonely, but I have my memories of my father to comfort me. I'm heading out now, Dad. I felt my father's gentle smile watching over me as I looked at his picture hanging on the wall of my home. Hey, Grace, you need to understand what you've done. How can you be so careless as to leave your responsibilities as a wife and cause problems for William? You're a terrible wife. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Well, Mother, I have my reasons for leaving. That doesn't matter. We're moving to a new, nicer apartment. If you want to live with us, I can tell you where it is. I'm sure my mother-in-law doesn't know anything yet. Well, it's good for me that she doesn't know. No, thank you. My name is Grace. I'm 35 and work in an office. I've been married to my husband William for 5 years. He's 40, which is 5 years older than me. I used to date older men, but I liked William because he was generous and kind. Our relationship was good, so we got married. Our marriage was okay, but soon after, problems started to affect our once peaceful life. I lost my job, and then William got fired because the company he worked for was struggling because of the recession. I never expected William to lose his job since he worked for a big company. I thought we would be okay financially and that this would last for our whole lives. But it turns out, nothing in life is guaranteed. We fell into financial trouble. I was a stay-at-home wife, but I decided to start working again. I reached out to my old employer, and fortunately, they hired me because someone had just left to have a baby. It was a relief to have some extra income. If William could find a new job, we'd be okay. But it's tough for a middle-aged man to find work, so he had to take part-time jobs as a day laborer, earning around $700 a month. I wasn't making much either, so we were barely scraping by. Hey, the rent here is too high. Can we move to a cheaper place? We need to lower our fixed costs to make things easier. We used to have a good income and didn't worry about money, living comfortably in a nice apartment. But now, with our financial situation change, I thought it would be wise to move to a cheaper place. However, William strongly disagreed. No, we're not moving. Why not? If we move to a smaller apartment, my mom will ask questions. So what? Why don't you just tell her the truth? We're struggling because you're not working now. William got upset and raised his voice. Don't ever tell my mother I'm unemployed. With your salary and what I make, we can cover the rent. Let's just keep it that way. I was both shocked and confused. You care more about saving face and keeping our current apartment than about our marriage. Even if we can pay the rent, we're still struggling to get by. That's why I suggested moving to a cheaper place. We can't save any money. But William wouldn't budge, so I had to give up on that idea. Life continued to be tough. One day, William said something really frustrating to me. Hey, this is all we have for dinner tonight. We used to have a lot more food. Just because you're working now doesn't mean you can neglect your responsibilities at home. Don't be lazy about managing this. His comment made me angry, so I snapped back. We're barely making ends meet. I'm doing my best at home and at work. If you weren't so concerned about keeping up appearances and wanting to stay here, we could save on food expenses. Or maybe you could earn more money so everything would be fine. When I made those comments, William got really angry and said, "What are you talking about? Don't ever say that to me again. Just wait and see. I'll get a job at a good company and earn more money than you." He was furious, but if it made him more determined, I thought I could handle it. I tried to convince myself that it was okay. But despite his determination, William couldn't find a new job. He had to keep working part-time as a day laborer. Even though he was motivated, he wasn't getting any job offers. He hadn't done any extra training or gotten new qualifications. He had just been doing part-time work. William faced rejection at every interview and grew frustrated with having to compete with younger candidates. Eventually, he gave up on job hunting, still believing he could earn more than I did. I was disappointed and had lost hope. It wasn't just William's situation that worried me. Earlier today, I got another phone call from my mother-in-law. Despite being at work, she called me more than 10 times before I could return the call during my lunch break. Her voice was high-pitched and frustrated from the start. Why didn't you answer the phone right away? I told you I'm at work, didn't I? Well, you called while I was working. My mother-in-law is very close to her husband. A year ago, she called me frequently, and I thought she must be lonely and needed support. But all she talked about was her duty to support her husband, and now that I've started working, she was furious and kept calling me while I was at work. Did you discuss this with William properly? You can't even return my calls. I'm sorry. It's hard for us to live with you now. I'm not asking for your opinion. William won't object to it. No, William says it's too hard right now. Plus, we're having financial problems. Financial problems? William works for a big company. He must be making a lot of money. You should be rich, right? I'm always at a loss when she says things like that. William has been very clear that I shouldn't tell his mother the truth, so I can't explain our real situation. Instead, my mother-in-law thinks I'm selfish for working and doesn't believe how tough things are for us. Her calls are annoying, both when I'm at work and when I'm home at night. She believes that as a wife, my main job is to support my husband, which includes taking care of his mother. You haven't come to visit me lately. What's going on? I have a full-time job and I'm exhausted. William works part-time on weekends, so our schedules don't match. I'm sorry. We're both so busy that it's hard to find time. Your schedule? William is off on weekends. You could come then, right? My mother-in-law seemed very frustrated and continued to complain. I felt like it was time to finally tell her the truth about William's situation. No, William works on weekends. What do you mean? Just as I was about to tell her the truth, William, who had been lounging on the sofa watching TV, rushed over and grabbed my phone. Mom, I'm sorry I haven't visited you lately. I'm working on a big project and have to work on weekends too. I'll come see you soon. After he finished speaking, he hung up the phone and came back to me. What were you doing? Were you trying to tell my mom the truth? Just tell her the truth. If you keep hiding it, she'll keep saying things because she doesn't know what's really going on. I'm sorry to hear that, but don't tell my mom. That's enough. Just keep your pride and tell her the truth. Shut up. I'm the one keeping us afloat, so you should be grateful instead of arguing. With that, he went back to his room. I was at my breaking point. I couldn't solve our financial issues, and both my husband and his mother were cornering me. It was too much. William complained that his day job was too demanding and didn't do any housework, but his job wasn't even full-time. He worked on weekends and one day during the week. The rest of the time, he was home. I was sure he could find ways to earn more money or at least help with housework. Why do you do nothing at home and expect me to handle all the chores and work? Fed up with William's complaints, I decided to leave home for a while. I went back to my parents' place for a week to show William how tough managing the house really was. I told my parents everything that had been happening, and they suggested I should get a divorce as soon as possible. But we were in love, had been married for 5 years, and I didn't want to end it just like that. If I was going to get a divorce, I wanted to make sure I tried everything to fix things first. If that didn't work, then I'd consider a divorce. While I was at my parents' house, William called me. "When are you coming home? Where's my mail? I won't be home for a while, so you'll have to handle all the housework while I'm gone." "Don't be ridiculous. Just come home and take care of the chores." "No, I won't. You know how hard housework is. You can clean the house, do the laundry, and cook, do everything yourself. It's important for you to understand how tough it is for me to manage all the housework while working." I made it clear I wasn't coming back, and I ignored William's repeated calls. Staying at my parents' place was very comfortable. For the first time in a long time, I could share the housework with my parents. My mother would say, "You must be tired," and she made many home-cooked meals. I really appreciated not having to do anything and getting food served to me. After spending about a week there, I thought I might want to stay a bit longer. But my parents' house was quite far from my office, taking an hour and a half each way to commute, so it wasn't practical. I thought it was time for William to understand how hard housework is, so I decided to come back home. I was worried the place might be a mess, but it was actually cleaner than I expected. Still, something seemed off. When I checked William's room, I noticed his clothes and suitcases were gone. I figured he must have gone to his mother's place, so I called him. "What are you calling me for now? Where are you?" "I'm at my parents' house." "You didn't go to your parents' house right after I left, did you?" "That's right. What's your point? It doesn't make any sense. You shouldn't have left in the first place. I'm already upset and not going back to that house." "What do you mean?" "I'm going to live with my mom. I'm moving into a new apartment." "I have no idea what you're talking about." I was speechless when the voice on the phone suddenly changed. "Hey, Grace. Do you realize what you've done? How can you abandon your duties as a wife and create problems for William? You're a terrible wife. I'm going to teach you a lesson." "Well, Mother, I have my reasons for leaving." "That doesn't matter. We're moving to a new, nicer apartment. If you want to join us, I'll tell you where it is." "I'm sure my mother-in-law doesn't know anything yet." "Well, it's good for me that she doesn't." No. No. Thank you." "What?" My immediate refusal shocked my mother-in-law. I was firm in my decision not to move. "Oh, are you serious? If William is going to live with me, then unless you come over here, you'll have to be on your own." "You can live alone, can't you? You've been relying on him." "Don't worry, I have enough to manage on my own. If we don't live together, then there's no reason for us to stay married. So I'm divorcing him." The mention of divorce seemed to shock both my mother-in-law and William. On the phone, my mother-in-law said, "Grace, there's no need to talk about divorce. I can't stay married to you anymore. I need to get rid of a terrible husband like you as soon as possible." When I said that, my mother-in-law reacted angrily. "How dare you speak about William like that? We don't want a life like yours either. So fine, William, just get a divorce." "No. I'll get the divorce papers ready. You'll regret this. It's too late for apologies." "Same to you." With that, the call ended. I figured my mother-in-law and William would soon show up with the divorce papers. I was relieved that things were turning out as I hoped. I was grateful that William wasn't willing to change and had gone back to his mother's place. This made it easier for me to decide to move on. If he wasn't going to improve, there was no reason for us to stay together. I packed my bags and waited for my mother-in-law to arrive. A few hours later, she showed up. Oh, William isn't here. He doesn't need to be. Here you go. I had him fill out his part already. You need to complete yours as soon as possible. She handed me the divorce papers. I noticed that William's section had a shaky handwriting, as if he was reluctant. My mother-in-law ranted, "William is such a wonderful man. Despite having a terrible wife like you, he was hesitant about the divorce. I'll never forgive you for causing trouble for such a great person. I hope you live poorly and regret it." While I filled out my part of the form, my mother-in-law continued to yell at me. William's pride had prevented him from telling his mother the truth until the end. What a pathetic man he is. What happened to your house? I saw that. Well, if you want to come over, there's no place for you. No, I won't. How much did you sell it for? It was old, so it must have been cheap. That's none of your business, but since I'm being nice, I'll tell you. It was about $50,000. It's not a huge amount, but enough for retirement. William will cover the cost of our new apartment. Wow, I'm surprised you got approved. What are you talking about? William is a high-class person. It was expected. So you deposited the money into William's account. How did you know that? That's not important. Stop asking. And that's just how a divorced woman talks. So obviously you're still interested in him, but it's too late for that. Don't worry. I've already agreed to the divorce. When I said that, my mother-in-law snapped and left. I was thrilled to be free from both her and William. I gathered the rest of my belongings and moved them back to my parents' house. I discovered a lot of things I collected for my small apartment. By leaving, I had managed to provoke my mother-in-law, which helped me escape the financial struggle. There was no way I'd hand over any of William's property. She would have to deal with it. Even now, I find it amusing to remember William's pale face during the property division discussion. Then, about 2 years later, I got a call from a number I recognized. I thought it might be work-related and picked up the phone, only to find it was my ex-mother-in-law. Oh my God, Grace, please help me. Mother, don't call me that. We're strangers now. Don't say that. I'm in trouble. Huh? Can't pay the rent and running out of savings. Yes. He didn't tell you about the financial problems until things were really bad, did he? Oh, you knew. I suspected he didn't want to tell you, but every time I tried, William told me not to. I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry, Grace. I didn't know anything. Please come back. I don't want to. He wouldn't change no matter how much I tried. Even you were always bullying me. I don't want to be around people like you ever again. Please don't say that. I don't have anything to eat anymore. I'm really struggling. According to my ex-mother-in-law, William had been trying to keep up appearances and didn't tell her about the financial issues. He used the $50,000 from selling the family home to pay rent, but his mother became suspicious if he didn't spend money on expensive groceries and fancy meals now and then. As a result, he quickly burned through that money and is now broke. Well, he got what he deserved, didn't he? Why don't you put aside your pride and live modestly in a cheap apartment? No, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to live comfortably with my elite son. My ex-mother-in-law cried as she spoke, but I quietly ended the call and blocked all her numbers. I also filed a restraining order against her just in case I needed to involve the police. They always seem to rely on others, whether it's parents or children. I've learned a lot from this experience and am determined to live independently. I've refocused on my own life and am working to move forward. The truth is clear. William continued living beyond his means, and my mother-in-law blamed only me without questioning her own son. I'm relieved to have cut ties with such a difficult mother and son. I'm confident that I can now live an independent life and hopefully meet a wonderful person in the future. I wish for happiness and success moving forward. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.